Hello, my friends, and happy whatever it is for you when you watch this. These are the monologues, and it's really just me talking, freestyling, and hoping that it makes some sense. And today we are talking about something my sister Emma and I know I talk about my sister Emma a lot. It's like we go through the same journeys together, and we do run a company together, Summering Empire. That is what we are calling it in anticipation, Amira, of the monies and the glory. Okay, I'm half kidding. But yes, how else will they know my ancestors, Amira, if I don't have an empire? But anyway, focus, Mona. Yeah, so we have a company. It's not called Submarine Empire. It's called Submarine Limited, and we do a lot of different things. So she's fitness trainer. I write. I vlog. And then of course my books and TV and film and she also does like nutrition and wellness. So we join these two things together, and we have a company, as not a company, we have, I don't want to call it a charity, we have a foundation called Banging Pots. And Banging Pots is about it's about paying school fees for kids in the environment so far that would otherwise struggle through school, or maybe not make it through school at all. So again, that's going to be a different post, but I was just throwing that in there. So Emma and I, we go through a lot of the journeys of becoming together, and recently we've been talking about what we call the King's List. So what is the King's List? It's a term that we coined because as women, well, I don't know about you, but as women, there is a lot of struggle. There can be a lot of struggle for us to find, and a really loud bus just passed outside, just forget you didn't hear it. There can be a lot of struggle for us to find our king, our companion. And Emma and I have both been married and both been divorced. And it's like, oh, what is wrong with your family? But yeah, so we kind of went through this almost at the exact same time. Like we got married, I think, months apart from each other. We got divorced, I think, a year apart from each other, or even those same months apart from each other, because we were married for about the same time, 7 years. And when that happens, I'm not sure how men process divorce, but I do know it's difficult for everybody. And when that happens for me, and I know for Emma as well, there is a lot of self doubt, and self questioning, and and we like to laugh, not for me and her necessarily, but having spoken to a lot of other women who've been through divorces, like women will usually take two roads. Either you'll go down the complete chastity road, where you see a man and you're like, get ye behind me, Satan, Satan, stand behind me. Or um there goes Sebastian, it's done now, you're good. Or you'll go through what we call the horror phase, which is you're like, honey, you think you're who? You think you're who? You think you're a tall glass of water, as my friend likes to say. And there is a part of you that's just trying to exercise the essence of this man from your body, and you do that by, I call it the horror phase, it's unfair, but it's a term, right? So you do that by pretty much, you're open for business, and yeah, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna just go out and I'm gonna have my fun. I'm going to go out there and do my thing. And I actually, I champion that. I champion that. And this kind of like brings me back into even what I am saying in terms of the different roads that women go through. I mean, I went through the whole get you behind me, Satan. Please stand behind me and go away, you know. But that is no less noble or no better than me deciding, like, listen, me, I'm gonna go out. I know God made me well, and let me see who I am attracted to, and let's get it down. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're coming from a centered place. So the thing for women and for men, like, nobody blinks, nobody cares. Men probably do the same thing, but nobody ever talks about it, right? Because they're men. Um, And actually, in this case, the man that's talked about is the one who's like, me for 3 years, I didn't even want to see a woman. That's the man we talk about, not the one who's like, let me sow my oats right now while I can, obviously with protection, because, yeah, let's be responsible, right? Um, so women, I think, and again, I don't want to speak for the men, but for women, we brandish ourselves, and we are brandished with a very harsh stick when we go through things like divorce. Um, and I think in this day and age, we brandish ourselves with a harsh stick. Not that not that we judge it. I didn't judge myself for it, but I felt less as a person because of it. And so you find, and I've talked about this before, because of just being who I am and just being different. I'm just different. Um, it's then very hard to find people that you connect with. So when I went through my do not even look, you've looked at me in a certain way, please turn your eyes away. Once I got over that, because the whole turn your eyes away from me, I did not do it in a very healthy way. I tried, but I carried the weight. And so whatever I came out on the other side of that wasn't the best version of me. So I had a lot of not good enough baggage. I had a lot of um, doubting myself baggage. I had a lot of I need you to love me so that I can validation, right? I needed validation. And usually the people you go to for that sort of thing are going through their own stuff, because you attract who you are, right? And they're going through their own stuff. And so I realized, like, my relationship with men, and I've talked about this before, and I used to say it's about trying to get them to love me, but then I realized it's not even that. I mean, it was that at that point, and then it became more like I feel like I am the one to do the work, right? So I talk about, I got a lot into my masculine energy because, first of all, I am a go-getter, and I don't say this, I'm a go-getter. It's just for me, if something lands on my plate, if I'm going to jump into something, I'm in. And I think I get this from my mother. My dad is a dreamer, so my dad will dream the perfect picture, and then my mother is like, execute, execute, execute. So I got a bit of both. So I dream, and then we execute, execute. So in my relationships, I do the same thing. Ooh, this has just actually hit me. I've never even put that together. Okay. So in my relationships, I do the same thing. I I dream and I see this person and I dream this person. I dream them, I dream them into being, and then they walk into my life, usually totally unexpected, when I'm not looking, when I'm really not even interested. And then the minute they get there, I am like, here is the dream. The dream has come. Hallelujah, Jesus. I already chased Satan. He's behind me. Hallelujah, Jesus. And then I execute, execute, execute. And there's a friend of mine the other day who was telling me, like, listen, if you want this person, go and get them. you know, and and it's me, this is what you do, and this is what you do, and this is what you do, and this is what you do. And at some point, like, there's an old part of me that would have been there writing the notes because they were good notes. At some point, I said to him, you know what, you're talking like a man, and you're coming from a masculine perspective. And whereas that would work for a man, I am not sure it's going to work for a woman. And I'm not saying this to diminish femininity or to diminish a woman going after what she wants. Absolutely, you should. But there is a thing about feminine energy and masculine energy. And in my life, for me, every time I have come at somebody or come at a relationship or come at my king from a point of masculine energy, if that man is a masculine man, what happens is he is repelled, because a masculine man wants to bring the masculine energy to the relationship. And a queen's strength is to bring her feminine energy into the relationship. I will clarify it again because I say this all the time. We all have masculine and feminine energies. And even in a relationship, there is a time to come as a masculine energy and there is a time to come as a feminine energy. But the predominant energy for me, when I have come in as a masculine energy, has not um, gotten me what I thought it would get me. And so my sister and I are coming out of this because she's the same, same kind of pathway, same kind of history. We manifest it in different ways, but the same. And so now we're like, when you know who you are, obviously we still become, right? We're still becoming, but when you know who you are, and more importantly, you're okay to sit in the quiet, and you're okay to believe in the work that you've done, and you're okay to believe in faith and in God, whoever you see him to be. For us, most of the time, we say the universe. Um, there is a quiet that comes, and with that quiet comes the predominant energy that is living inside you. And I think this is the point at which, if you're a woman, you your name gets scrawled into the king's list, and not for them, but for you, because then I know, like, this is what I deserve. I deserve a king, and I will have the dream in my heart. And I don't think it is my duty to go and fix everything and tie every knot and follow every path and look at every text and analyze it. Not my job. My job is to be me. My job is to be the queen that I am. My job is to be confident. My job is to know that in my quiet and in my softness, there is a greater power that's working for me and with me. And I'm on the king's list. Yeah. And I'm still going to talk a little bit more about that in, follow-up post. The follow-up post of this is just to show more about what we mean. But yeah, queen, you're on the king's list. Get yourself on the king's list. Get yourself on the king's list. Not by looking for the king, but by becoming the best version of you that you can be and wearing that crown. Queen, get on your king's list.